Civilization 7's developer, Firaxis, have just revealed the 7 things you really should know about Civilization 7, as well as the penultimate Exploration Age Civ, and a resource-hungry leader. Let's jump in. Our story this week starts here, with Amina, who I've labelled a resource lover. She's also a desert lover. Let's take a look at exactly why. And of course, the leader reveal that came out about 24 hours ago, it showed us that she's an economist and a militarist who loves plains and desert. And you see that play through in what is perhaps one of the best combat strength buffs we've seen so far to a leader, plus 5 combat strength on all units in plains and in desert. And if you happen to be her foe, you'll receive a moderate penalty to your relationship if you settle too often in those plains and desert tiles, so do take care of that. More importantly though, that resource lover part, +1 capacity for resources on all cities, and +1 gold for each of those resources per age for each resource assigned to your cities. It's unclear whether duplicates will play a role here or not, but just some quick math, you might have 20 or 25 in the first age. As you move through, of course, you'll start to see that effect stack up, and you're probably going to be playing through the economic pathway more broadly. The way I see it, you might get 40, 60, 80 gold a turn as you move through the ages. Not too shabby. Will it be the best benefit we see from a leader? It's honestly kind of hard to tell. Finally, one more note on Amina, who they noted in the trailer would be a good fix with Songhai in the first age, is that we have actually seen Amina before. You might recall when the game was revealed back in August that Amina was one of the 4 leaders who was revealed. And looking back at that old footage, you can see that she hasn't changed. Maybe that's a good sign for the development of Civ 7. Maybe not. I honestly don't know. It would just be speculation. Let's take a look at some facts with the Civ that was revealed this week. Hawaii, the culture powerhouse, potentially taking the role of Coupe. This is the penultimate Exploration Age Civ, the 10th of the 11 to be revealed on the Civ 7 guide. So, let's delve into that just for a minute to see what Hawaii has to offer. Moana Nui Akia is its unique ability, giving you culture each time a settlement expands into a marine tile. Also, a little bit of extra happiness from those fishing boats, because who doesn't love a fishing boat? Moving through to those traditions. These are the things that you'll keep through the ages, right? Into the next age, even though you've changed your Civ, and it gives production toward culture buildings, building on top of a couple of other tiers that give you a little bit of extra culture for an environmental event that provides fertility, like a volcano erupting, and an infantry unit that also receives culture when defeating enemies. Building on top of that culture, the second tradition gives you just flat increased culture on marine tiles, that benefit, as well as some relics, right? So you're sort of building into the cultural victory for this age. And finally, we should probably take a look at its uniques. A farm that receives increased culture, a civilian unit that's a missionary that has 1 free heal, and a military unit that has extra combat strength against infantry itself, effectively, as well as cavalry units. And as I alluded to at the start here, I think it could be perhaps a Coupe, a Maori empire from Civilization 6 brought into Civ 7, of course this time Hawaii. Why do I say that? Well, there's a love of the sea, there's a love of culture. Now, Coupe granted did a little bit more as the Maori empire, and as a New Zealander it was kind of cool to see close to modern New Zealand represented. When I think about that, actually, I think, what would New Zealand be as a Civ if we didn't have that Maori empire to fall back on? What would our unit be? Recently, we crashed one of our only Navy ships into a coral reef because we didn't realize autopilot was on. One of allegedly 9 ships, though I'm pretty sure a few of those are currently under care and custody. Anyway, rant about the New Zealand Navy aside, let's get back to Civilization 7 and what matters. Though if there's a colonial power listening, I'd love US citizenship, and I've got a couple of nice islands down here in the South Pacific. I know you love it. Anyway, let's move on to really the meat of this video. 7 things to know about Civ 7. And this actually comes from Firaxis themselves. Here are 7 things you should know about Civ 7. These are the 7 things that they just highlighted. In fact, for some of you, it may even be a time in the future about Civ 7. The 7 things to stress about the game. First and foremost, leader attributes, which you will have heard about before. We've caught glimpses of them here and there and everywhere, and some of them seem pretty strong. You earn these points throughout the ages, assign them to your leader through a variety of different trees to pick up different benefits. One of them I noticed that really caught my eye this time around, somehow it hadn't previous times, was this one here, down the bottom of the militaristic tree. You'll see above or below the commanders receiving a free level that units can heal +2 hit points, and this one is uniquely repeatable. So you can keep spending points, maybe, to have units that just like heal their entire bodies in a turn. Moving along to point number 2 though, crossplay and cross-progression. Crossplay supported on day 1 between PC and console, and you can play with your friends wherever they are, even down here in New Zealand. And with cross-progression, you can pick up Civ wherever you go. I think that's an important thing for people who are playing across different platforms. Maybe not me or you, but for a lot of people out there it will be. Third up, navigable rivers. This one, not actually a bit of news. And if you're a regular viewer here of my channel, you know it's something I'm particularly looking forward to. And of course it relates to some of the civs and cultures in the game, like Egypt. Moving through to the 4th one, this one is about unit variety, about building variety. And in fact, we've heard a little bit about this before, but on Twitter, Civ7 Firaxis yet again shared a little highlight from the PAX Australia live stream about just how extreme they are taking things with unique units and unique buildings. Hundreds, allegedly. Take a listen.
There's 31, right? Civs. And every Civ has a unique military unit. They also have a unique civilian unit. Some of those Civs will have great people. People. There's 10 great people per great people. It is absolutely incredible how many units there are. Not to mention the standard units, the archers and the warriors and trebuchets and that sort of thing. So that is also there, all of the rank and file. So yeah, we have tons and tons of units, hundreds of units to choose from.
And if that hype didn't get you, at least we'll receive a trebuchet without having to wait years and years this time around. Moving on to our next point, it's the music, which I'll return to in just a moment. But of course, each civilization, all 31 of them, will have their own unique music theme. You may have heard some at the start of this video. And Baba Yetu composer is back for the main theme of Civ 7, and that I am excited to hear. Our next point relates to the ages and age transitions more specifically. I have a dedicated video on this, so I'm not going to delve into it too much, but of course, you will change your civilization as you move through the age. You'll keep some buildings, but they'll lose their adjacency bonuses. You'll need to overbuild to replace them if you really want to take advantage of their bonuses, of their adjacencies, and how they relate to building a big city. Finally, the final point out of 7, almost like they didn't quite know what to do, so they just put up the leaders again, this time, though it's leaders of progress. Leaders in Civ 7, as you'll well know, and as the YouTube comment section has certainly pointed out many times, are not just politicians, dictators, or monarchs. They are instead, potentially, philosophers, explorers, scientists, and more. And I quite like the way they've carefully phrased it there, leaders of progress. That's a good word. Or progress. Either way, a great word and a nice way to frame what is a more diverse, a broader array of leaders. Not too dissimilar from what we were seeing in Civ 6, though. Finally, 3 more things. Soundtracks, sales, and streams. Firstly, going back to those soundtracks, the one that you were listening to, here it is on screen, recently released the Hawaii soundtrack. If you go to the Civ 7 YouTube channel, you'll find not just this one, but a whole load of others. They are releasing the soundtrack early, for free, on YouTube. Secondly, sales. The Steam sale is on. You might have seen my video on it. I don't think I'll make another one of those because it didn't seem to be particularly well liked. However, Civ 6 is on a great deal, 90% off. Civ 4, by the way, also on a great deal. And finally, streams. One of my favorite streams of the year, the annual Civ charity live stream, the Civ Give, is on the 1st of December. So if you're watching this video at the time of release, it'll be very soon. If not, you might have to catch the VOD after the fact. Nonetheless, a great event happens every year, and perhaps this year will be the final time that it happens in Civ 6, because of course, Civilization 7 is but, 80-ish days away at this point? I need to get some sort of live calendar so I can track it. And that reminds me, you should subscribe to my channel, blah, blah, blah. Subscribe. 100,000 subscribers by Civ 7 days, the target. We're not quite trending well enough to get there, but we are the closest we've ever been. I actually think we'll either make it by about a week or miss it by about a week. Let's see. Time will tell. Either way, cheers for joining me today in this week's recap of the Civilization 7 news. Somewhat of a quiet week, but still some interesting things revealed by Firaxis that I thought were worth covering. I'll see you next time.